My name is Jim Rittimann. I make sculpture out of bone, uh, botanical parts, and mixed insect parts. I want to make work that deals with polar opposites and creates tension all the time, how you see it. I don't want you to be comfortable. My mother, the first time she saw the work, she said, remember this correctly, she said, "You're making little devils, aren't you?" So I said, "Okay."
Yeah, really big though. Yeah. Alright, anything else, man? No, that's fine, thank you. Alright, sir.
People are attracted to the insects, and at the same time they get repulsed. They're kind of like, "Ooh, I don't know if I like this." In fact, I had a woman at the opening the other night told me, she said, I had to leave because it bothered me so much. But she came back and she said, "You know what? I got to thinking about it. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I came back and she told me, she said, I just think I love this work." When you go to art school, I got to say that I was influenced by lots of artists, which is the normal procedure when you go to art school. If you really want to make your own work, you try to get away from that. So for a period of a couple of years after grad school, I decided that, well, what's me in all of this? So I started looking back to my past and what are the things that excited me when I was a kid? And definitely the natural world excited me. Everything about it. Nature excited me.
Here's a good boy. Here. Yes, that's a good boy. That's my boy.
When I look for parts for the sculptures, I like linear things. So that's why I like skeletons or the understructure. I like insect, the hard exoskeleton of the insect. This is all linear. There's a hard structure to it. I also like the foreign way it looks. It looks like sort of like a fossil. It looks like something that looks real, but it has qualities about it that make it unreal. Many insects, as they are, look like they're from a dolly movie. They don't look real. If the viewer comes to my work and wants to look at the work, on the surface, they look like insects. What's going to happen after that, is sort of up to the viewer. And if you look close enough, you're going to realize that, I've done my, imaginary Frankenstein kind of thing of reordering the parts. And hopefully it's seamless enough where you can't tell what I've done and what is real. And that's ultimately what I like to go after, is that there's a reality created there that's not like a reality that you've ever seen. So you get a work that there's a fight between what is real and what isn't real, and in this new thing, right? So it's a absurd reality, I guess you would call it. It becomes another reality, right? That isn't the natural history reality or just my imagination. It's the combination of the two. So in a way, it's like making something so real that it's not. I was born and raised in Texas, and rodeo was a natural thing in my environment. Did it competitively pretty much about 12 years. I started out in youth rodeo and went to amateur ranks and then pro ranks. At the same time, I did art. In fact, I can remember doing art from a small child. I'm like one of the only high school kids in my high school class that took art classes. So even in high school. So I was always interested in art. So after I was deciding to retire at about 27, 28, I decided that, what am I going to do? So I went back to school and started studying art. The Reconstruction series started in 1985 to probably around 1995, something like that. In the early reconstructions, I didn't disguise the bones. I let the bones be the natural color of the bones, insect parts, and just put them together so you could see that they were different but connected. A later part or subset of the series called Reconstructions, and I did mostly out of bones, and then I added glass eyes to them to like kind of like put some life into them, you know. Have them stare back at you, you know. I want a language to be created, them looking at you, to stimulate some kind of response from your emotions and your intellect. To give them in a way, which I can't, a voice or a life again, right? It's sort of like it animates them in a way. Shortly thereafter, I started the series called The Leaf Heads. From there, natural thing for me is to move them off the wall, and then they became the Paradise Birds, which were just like the Leaf Heads, except they became three-dimensional. From there, I went small again to the Paradise Insects, which started in probably 2004. And then the newest work is you know, the Paradise Insect symbiotic relationship, where I've introduced the narrative or implied narrative to these pieces and more of the gestured thing going on. They're getting more and more human gestures as they go by. They're less and less animal-like. The only reference back to the animal world is the parts sometimes. If I'm creating life, it's in my head. And it would be in the viewer's head too, that we, in our brains, finish stories, right? We finish things, right? Because we want completion. So that's in us, right? It's an innate quality that we have. You know, that's why I like the static quality, is that they're stopped, they don't move. I like you to finish the piece, the viewer finish the piece. I also look at my work as that it's, you know, it's sort of like the sideshow of art. It's definitely not mainstream, so I don't, you know, it's not mainstream as far as like what's hot stylistically in the, you know, culture of art, but I don't care if it is. I kind of like, it is what it is, because I believe that, you know, I'm trying to be honest and say what I want to say about and how I want to say it, because I want to be my own artist. I kind of like it that I'm out there on the fringe a little bit. It doesn't help financially, but you know, I live with it. You know, you live with it, and I believe also that you push hard enough, you get what you're after. You know, you just have to be aware of really what you're after, you know, and like honest with yourself, and you know, and then you get it.